Assalamu alaikum everyone. This is me, Fatima Khan, Business Wali. I'm a student of Rihan AI Teachers Training Institute, Batch 22. So today I'm going to discuss a very important topic with Sasmi. The topic is the benefits of learning a new language. So today we will learn about this topic from Sasmi. So let's start.
Hey, how's your night going?
I'm doing good. So today I want to learn about the topic, the benefits of learning a new language.
That's a great pick. Beyond just being able to order coffee in another country, it actually does some wild things for your brain. Where do you want to start? The mental perks or how it changes your perspective on the world?
So, first of all, tell me what are the main benefits of learning a new language?
Mainly, it's like a gym workout for your brain. It improves your memory and makes you way better at multitasking because your mind gets used to switching between different systems of thought. Then there's the social side. It opens up entirely new circles of people and cultures you'd otherwise never truly connect with. And honestly, it usually makes you better at your native language too, since you start noticing how grammar and structure actually work. Does any of that sound more interesting than the others, or are you thinking of a specific goal?
How does learning a new language improve brain function?
It basically forces your brain to become more flexible. When you learn a new language, you're building new neural pathways because you're constantly recognizing, negotiating meaning, and communicating in a different system. It specifically boosts executive function. That's the part of your brain that handles attention and problem solving, because you're always filtering out one language to focus on the other. People have even found it can delay the onset of dementia and Alzheimer's because it keeps the brain so active. Are you looking to sharpen your focus or just curious about the science?
Nothing special. Can learning a language boost memory skills?
Definitely. You're basically training your brain to store and retrieve huge amounts of data, like vocab and grammar rules, and then apply them in real time. It strengthens your working memory, which is your ability to hold and manipulate information in your head for short periods. It's a bit like lifting weights for your mind. Do you feel like your memory is something you're trying to work on right now?
How does bilingualism affect career opportunities?
It's a huge competitive edge in a global economy. Being bilingual makes you way more versatile. It opens doors to international roles and often makes you a more attractive candidate for companies that do business overseas because you're not just translating words, you're bridging a cultural gap. Plus, in a lot of fields, it can actually lead to higher pay. Do you have a specific career path in mind where another language might help?
Why is language learning important in today's global world?
Because the world is smaller than it's ever been, but the gaps between us are still there. Language is the only way to actually get inside another culture's head. It's the difference between just visiting a place and actually understanding the people who live there. It builds a kind of empathy you can't get from a translation app because you're seeing how different people conceptualize the world. Do you think it's more about the practical side of connecting or the deeper emotional side?
How can learning a new language improve communication skills?
Makes you a much more intentional communicator. When you're learning a new language, you can't rely on autopilot, so you start paying way more attention to things like tone, body language, and how you structure your thoughts to be clear. You also become more patient and empathetic because you know exactly how frustrating it feels when you can't find the right word. It basically trains you to be a better listener. Do you find yourself struggling with any of those things in English, or are you just looking to level up?
English. Does learning a language help in understanding other cultures?
Absolutely. Language and culture are basically glued together. There are always words or phrases in other languages that don't have a direct translation because they describe a feeling or a social concept that only exists in that specific culture. When you learn those, you're not just learning a word, you're learning how those people see the world. It's like getting a backstage pass to a culture instead of just watching from the audience. Is there a particular culture you've always been curious about?
So tell me, what is the best age to start learning a new language?
The best way to start is to stop treating it like a
I'm saying
school
the best
subject
age.
and
My
sorry,
question is,
I
what is the best age to start learning a new language?
biologically, the earlier the better. Kids are like sponges. Their brains are designed to pick up sounds and grammar naturally without even trying. But honestly, adults have a different kind of edge. We have better discipline and we understand the logic and structure of how languages work, which can actually make the learning process faster in some ways. So, while childhood is the golden age for native like fluency, you're never actually too old to get really good at it. Do you feel like you missed a window or are you just wondering if now's a good time to start?
Okay, so can adults still learn language as effectively as children?
Not in the same way, but they can still be incredibly effective. Children are better at picking up a perfect accent and absorbing grammar instinctively. Adults, though, are better at strategic learning. We can use patterns, analogies, and focused study to bridge the gap. You might not get that effortless native feel as easily, but you can absolutely reach a high level of fluency. Do you think you'd prefer a structured approach or something more immersive?
How does language learning improve confidence?
It's all about the small wins. Every time you successfully order a meal or have a 5-minute conversation without freezing up, it's a huge hit of dopamine. Plus, it forces you to get comfortable with being wrong. When you're learning, you're gonna mess up and sound silly a lot. Once you realize that the world doesn't end when you use the wrong verb tense, you start becoming a lot more fearless in other areas of your life too. Do you think you'd be okay with making those kinds of mistakes, or does that part sound intimidating?
What challenges do people face while learning a new language?
The biggest one is usually the intermediate plateau, that frustrating phase where you've moved past the basics but feel like you're not actually getting any better. Then there's the mental fatigue. Switching your brain into another language is genuinely exhausting at first. And of course, there's the fear of looking foolish when you're speaking. It's a lot of ego bruising before you get to the good part. Which of those sounds like it would be the hardest for you?
Okay, so what are the easiest methods to learn a new language?
The most effective way is usually a mix of immersion and consistency. For the immersion part, start swapping your daily habits, watch shows with subtitles, listen to podcasts in that language, or even change your phone settings. For consistency, using apps is fine for vocab, but you've got to actually speak it. Even if it's just talking to yourself in the mirror or finding a language partner online, you have to get the words out of your head and into the air. Are you more of a study from a book person or a jump in the deep end type?
Can learning a language improve problem solving skills?
Yeah, it really does. It's basically a puzzle that never ends. You're constantly trying to figure out how to express a complex thought with a limited set of tools, which forces you to think creatively and find workarounds. It trains your brain to look at things from multiple angles and be more flexible when the first solution doesn't work. Do you enjoy that kind of mental challenge or does it sound more like a headache?
Yeah, I'm enjoying. So my last question is, what does what role does practice play in mastering a language?
Practice is everything. You know, you can study grammar rules for years, but that's just theory. Mastering a language is a physical and mental habit. Your tongue has to learn new movements, and your brain has to learn to stop translating and start thinking in that language. Without practice, the knowledge just stays locked in your head instead of becoming a tool you can actually use. It's the difference between knowing how a bike works and actually knowing how to ride one. Since that was your last question, how are you feeling about all this?
Okay,
Still thinking
thank
about picking
you.
up a new
Thank you,
language?
Maya.
Anytime. Glad we could.
So that's all about the conversation. I hope you learned something new in this conversation. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening to me. Allah Hafiz.